Okay, so now how do we go the other way? How do we take a graph that's already there and write an equation? So the first thing you're going to figure out is the y-intercept. That's the first thing we do when we graph it. So it's not surprising that that's going to be the first thing we do when we're writing the equation. And then we're going to pick another point to find the slope on the graph. So in my graph in number 1, I'm looking for the y-intercept. So I'm looking on the y-axis. Where does the graph cross? And it crosses right down there. And what number is it on? It's on -2. So I'm going to say the y-intercept is -2. Great. So that's one of my points. Okay. So now I'm going to pick another point on the graph to find the slope. So you want to make sure you're picking a good point, not picking a point that does not line up with two numbers. So like I would not pick here because that's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Another good point is right here, or you could pick down here. There's a couple different options. You just need to pick one. So I'm going to use my y-intercept and I'm going to use this point. So I'm going to count, and I'm going to start at this point. It does not matter which point you start from, but I'm starting here and I'm counting to the other point. So how do I get there? I go 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to write 3 and I'm going to say, what direction did I just count? Well, I counted up 3. And then I turn and I go 1, 2, 3, 4. And what direction did I just count? To the right. The direction, we know it matters because that's going to tell us whether these numbers are positive or negative. So in my slope off to the side, we know still if you move up or down, that number should go in the top of your fraction. If it's up, then it's a positive number. If it's down, it's a negative. And the number that moves to the right or the left goes on the bottom of the fraction. If you moved right, that was positive, left, negative. So in my slope, second step, my slope, here's my fraction. Which of those numbers is going to go in the top? Well, the top is my up, down. I said up was 3, so I'm going to put 3 in the top. If I moved up, does that mean that 3 is positive or negative? Positive. The number on the bottom is supposed to be my right-left number. My right number was 4. I put it on the bottom. It said right, right means positive. I would type this into Desmos to see if it simplifies. So I would type like 3 divided by 4. So I'm going to write type in calculator. But it still turns back into 3/4 when I write it as a fraction. That's okay. That doesn't mean it's wrong. So now I'm ready to write my equation. My equation should look like y equals blank x blank. The first blank is my slope and my second blank is the y-intercept. So what was my slope that I just figured out? It's 3/4. So I'm going to put that in the first blank. And what was my y-intercept? It was -2. So I'm going to put that in the second blank. So my final equation is y equals 3/4x minus 2. For my second example, here we go, same thing, find the y-intercept, pick another point. So my y-intercept this time, I'm looking on the y-axis. Where does it cross? Right there. What number was it on? +3. So I'm going to put 3. And now I'm doing slope, so I need to pick another point. So it doesn't matter, there's lots of points you could pick on this line. I'm going to pick right here. Sure, why not? And I'm going to count. So here we go. I'm going to start at the pink dot this time, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just went 4. And what way did I count? Up. And then I went 1, 2, 3, 4. What way did I just count? Left. So when I'm writing my slope, we know up, down should be on top. Right, left is on bottom. Up's positive, down's negative. Right's positive, left's negative. So my up number goes on top. It was 4. And it was up, so that means it's +4. My right, left number, left, I went 4. That goes on the bottom. Left means -4. I type this into the calculator. 4 divided by -4. And when I type it in, I get -1. So it does turn into something else. So now I'm ready to write my equation. Y equals blank x blank. Slope goes first. Y-intercept goes second. What was my slope we just figured out now? It's -1. And my y-intercept is 3. Now I have to put a plus or a minus. My 3 was positive, so I put a plus. So this would be the answer. If we're going to be like official, if the slope is -1, they don't have to put the 1, because when you just have an x, that means 1x. So it could be just y equals -x plus 3. Either is correct. So now that you've watched both videos, go ahead and start the formative.